So understand that. It's not that God doesn't care about. It's not that God doesn't, any parent, if their child is upset because a toy broke, well, you are upset for your child, but you understand that you have the ability to replace that child or give that child something bigger and better before. Understand God cares about you. He cares. Do not limit God by your current circumstance. And that's what he's saying to Abram here. He's saying, Abram, I will bless seed. Your descendants will possess them. And like we talked last week, he said, so look at the stars in the sky, look at the sand on the seashore. Because that will be the mental picture for you. For whenever you get in worry, whenever you get in doubt, what I need you to do, Abram, is I need you to keep this dream in your heart and not get very far from it. We all have sand and stars. Different for each of us. Somebody said to me last week, sand and stars is I came from generations of absentee fathers. And I knew when I had children that I wanted to be a present father. And that's my sand and stars. And there are days and there are moments where I can feel the pulling of what my forefathers went through and why they walked. But he said, my sand and stars is to get up every day and love my family and provide for my family and be present even in pain and even when it's uncomfortable. So some of your sands and stars, it all looks different, but we all have that thing that God's called us to. Make a difference in people's lives. Days and it's like, are you even making an impact? More sand and stars and the vision that God put into your heart, that you would plant seeds in people. A few weeks ago, I had the opportunity to go back to the church that I had grew up in and minister there. And many of you have heard me preach about my Sunday school teacher, and she was there in that service. And I called this lady by name, and I said, listen, everything that I'm doing today is a direct result of who you are and what you sowed into my life. It would embarrass me because back in those days when we were actually in this building, that church was, and I'd be time out. They said, that's not a bad thing unless you have a pastor who will stop service, call the child out, because everybody knew it was bad. And that was their way of seeing you behaving there. Every adult's going to turn and look at you. So anyway, it's not trauma. But the impact teachers made, and after that service was over, I was on my way out, Sarah and she was standing there weeping with tears coming down her face, and she said these words, and she said, there are many times I wondered if anything I've ever done has made a difference. And she said, I appreciate those words and what you spoke to because it reminds me that everything you do, I had a part of doing. This past week, that was the last service she was in. This past week, she graduated to heaven. And that just so floored me this week that her last sermon that she ever heard preached was about her and the impact that she made. And listen, those are sand and stars. What's God called you to do? What's the vision He's put on the inside of you? There are moments you're going to feel like you're not making a difference. There are moments you're going to feel like you're not making an impact. That's why God today, you need to look at the stars in the sky and look at that be the mental dream alive in your heart. Never get the picture of what God's going to do out of mind, out of your heart. Don't get too far from it. For some of you, you've been believing the Lord for a lost or unsaved loved one to come back to Christ. Listen, and that's that dream in your heart. There are a few things today that I want to touch on that if you want to join the journey Sand and Stars. Number one, if you want to join this journey, you have to have your heart to the hope that God wants